Cool. Wonderful. All right. I've been muted. Is that gonna work? Is it gonna work if you mute me? Is that not how we're communicating? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yep, I could tell from their voices. Oh, hello. All right. Welcome to some Final Fantasy trading card game, and this is currently looking like it's going to be high resolution if I watch this from the stream, than whether I watch this from the Discord link. So I may end up doing that. We'll see, because there's obviously a bit more delay. So I might use both simultaneously, and if I need a high resolution look at things, I'll watch the stream, and if I need the some more fast paced things when someone's just played a card, I'll look at the version I'm being sent over. So welcome. For those who are not familiar, this is the Final Fantasy trading card game. What? Final Fantasy has a trading card game? Yeah, Square Enix doesn't really market this game very much, but it is a very good game. So would recommend it to anyone. So currently up, we have Christian Hodges and Alex Smith. Oh my god, is that his surname? It's been a while. Love you, Alex. I've forgotten your surname. I wrote it on enough things that I should remember. So pretty much what we're going to see now is Road to Worlds tournament. So pretty much it's a smaller scale, not the smaller scale tournament. So not like your weekly locals or something, but it is a tournament that's going to be sort of getting more points to enter the larger world scene where you're going to be competing both nationally and internationally with other people. So right now we've sort of got our players sort of drawing their starting hands. For those who are not familiar, pretty much how this game works is you need to hit your opponent 7 times, dealing 7 damage points. Once you've done that, you are the victor of the game. Unlike, say, something like Magic, you don't need to. One hit is worth 1 hit. So in Magic, like an attack might be, say, worth 10, right? And that would deal 10 points of damage to the total health of 20. In the Final Fantasy trading card game, 1 hit is just equivalent to 1 hit, regardless of the power of the forward that did it. So it looks like our players are going to start now. We've got Alex and Christian. All right, so we've got some wind, earth here. This game has 6 different elements. See if I can remember off the top of my head. Fire, ice, wind, earth, lightning, and water. It looks like Alex, I'm assuming, because Alex used to always love World of Final Fantasy, is starting off with a World of Final Fantasy deck. He's currently played Wool, which lets him show the first couple of cards in his hand, and any cards that are classified as Warriors of Light, he gets to add to his hand. So the 2 he's got here is Aegis, which is kind of hidden there. It's a fire card there. Excuse me. And he also has Refia, which is a really powerful light card that's really crucial to his deck. Oh, he's going to grab it. The thing with Refia is he can't currently use it yet because he has 1 light card already on the field. So we'll see there are ways and shenanigans for him to be able to have 2, but it's going to take him a bit longer. So he's putting those at the bottom of his deck, as the card says. But a very aggressive opening turn. By playing it forward straight off the bat instead of backups, which is going to be earning him more resources throughout the game, is definitely set a pace that Christian is going to have to compete with. All right, going on to Christian's turn now. So we've got a couple of different options. By the look of things from Christian's hand, we're seeing Ice Lightning. He's got a couple of duplicates in his hand, which means he's going to be able to discard those for resources. So for those who aren't familiar, in the Final Fantasy trading card game, there are 2 main ways you can earn crystal points, which is the main resource of the game. First off is by dulling backups, which are like lands in Magic, but they do things to the character. So right now, Christian's just currently played his first backup. So it actually did a thing. It was able to remove Wool. On top of it, will now produce him resources for the rest of the game. The other way, and that's the way he played for that backup, was by discarding cards from his hand. Each card you discard from your hand is worth 2 crystal points, 2 CP, of what element it is. So if it's earth and ice, you got 2 CP of earth, 2 CP of ice. Unlike other card games, you only need to have at least one CP of an element to be able to play it. So if you're playing a 10 cost ice card, as long as at least one of that resource is an ice, you can still play that card. All right, so looks like I've moved back to Christian's turn. Grabbing some more cards. He's got Vincent there in his hand. He could hypothetically use that to pop his own back up to do extra damage. He doesn't quite need to yet. He's got the Gabranth as well, which is going to be a helpful searcher to sort of get the cards in easily. So I think that's Gabranth. It's a bit hard to see. Oh yeah, I can check the stream. There's a slightly higher quality view. No, may not know. Maybe a different card. No, it was Garanth. So pretty much what that allowed him to do is go through his entire deck and search for 5-cost powerful forwards, 5 cost or more. So that's really useful and it helps him be really consistent with this sort of play. Gonna see if I can pull up a chat while you. Hey, I can now see a chat. That's pretty neat. So yeah, he's used that to grab Shantoto, which if he's going to be playing Renpierre strategies, that's going to be obviously crucial to that. I think that's probably what he's going with. You don't typically see 9-cost Shantoto played any other time. So we'll see if that's where he goes. I think currently it is Alex's turn. He's got a nice handful of cards. The question is how he plays them. So if he doesn't play any forwards, he's going to leave himself open to a small attack from that Gabranth, which is not ideal considering how cheap and small the forward is, but it may be in the long term more strategically viable. Sorry if I'm going too fast and things. Just chat in the comments if you want me to slow down. Okay, so he's put another light card down, Warrior of Light. I'm not entirely familiar with what this does, so let me pull it up on my end. They don't quite have that one memorized. Ideally, in the future for streams, I'll be able to pull up cards so you guys on stream can get a better look at them. But as this is sort of a first test stream, don't have that functionality quite yet. Okay, so that Warrior of Light forward is going to serve him as a blocker for the Gabranth, but it's also going to mean that all of his job Warrior of Lights, which is most of his deck, are going to have reduced damage. For that reason, Warrior of Light decks typically also play Minwu, which is a backup which says if the damage that has been received is less than the total power being that sort of 8,000 or 5,000 little number at the bottom right of forwards, then it's just entirely negated. All right. Alex here is splitting up his break zone into elements to sort of keep track of what he's lost. All right. Both players thinking. All right, moving into Alex's turn. All right, so both players have one backup currently, which is very few for this late in the game. But it's, that's the pace that got set early on. Okay. What are you going to see here? All right, so I'm going to discard the Raffia for 2 water CP to play the 3-cost Minu. That was the card I was mentioning just before. You knew you were going to see it. In regards to the 2 decks, both of these competitors are playing. Warriors of Light is a powerful deck. I would say top 10, but not necessarily in the top 3. The top 3 decks in this game, top 3 or top 5, are sort of a lot more rigid. And Christian is playing one of those, which is sort of the Rampierre deck. Rampierre decks tend to be either Earth Lightning or Earth Ice Lightning using Cloud of Darkness typically. And those have been really volatile since the card Rampierre, which the deck is named after, appeared on the scene in the last set. Though, notably, we haven't seen Rampierre yet from Christian be played, which means a lot of his cards, which are serving to destroy his own backups, like the one we saw earlier in his hand, Vincent, is not going to be able to be super useful to him right now. Okay. Theater mode. Okay, Christian's doing some stuff. I think I can't hear anything on their end, so whatever they're saying to each other is entirely a mystery to me. All right, we got Kane. It's the first damage point of the game. Would have been a useful piece for Christian, but as he doesn't have Rapier yet, it's not. It's not agony to lose. All right. Oh, is that a Rapier in his hand? It might well be. I can't quite see the card. Yeah, it looks like it is. All right, so he has the Rapier, but you'll notice here he doesn't have any lightning CP in order to play it. So one of the risks you run running multiple elements in this game, in this case, earth, lightning, and ice, you don't necessarily find the CP that you need to be able to play the cards when you want them. And it's a good sort of balancing act for this game where more potentially powerful decks that running multiple elements, 2, 3, so on and so forth, are restricted by that sort of CPU requirement. So it's still possible to have these really bursty, incredible plays where you're pulling a bunch of different cards that you'd never think would combine together, but you run that added risk of not seeing what you need when you need it. Okay, so we're seeing Cloud of Darkness. That means I don't know if it's mandatory or not, but both players are going to be removing a card. Cloud of Darkness enters your field. You may put one character you control into the break zone. When you do so, your opponent selects one dollar forward she controls, put it into the break zone. So what's happened there is Cloud of Darkness has come, it's able to kill the very powerful Warrior of Light, and Christian's just sacrificed Cabranth, which is completely okay in his books. It's one less forward, yes, but if anything, it gives him the opportunity to play another Cabranth. So absolutely fair play there. Ideally, you'd be using those Cloud of Darknesses to break your own Renpierre, because that activates his very powerful ability, which I hope we'll get to see this game, but didn't happen in this case. All right. How's everyone going in the chat? This is hey Zach. This is my first time streaming solo. I used to stream fighting games, but today we're streaming cards. All right. Christian still thinks he's still not managed to get that lightning CP by the looks of it. So he may have just discarded the Rapier. I didn't quite catch it. Like because of such an aggressive start of this game, it's now things are beginning to slow down a bit now, and we're beginning to see, the game sort of level out, I should say, as both the players begin to build up their resources and reserves. That could absolutely change in a second. Both players have one hit point. Alex has two backups. Christian has one backup and one forward. All right, Alex is there. Alex is playing his own forward, playing another wall. Obviously, it's going any Warrior of Light is going to be playing the Warrior of Light, which is what wall stands for. So he's managed to do that. He's managed to find 4 of his 5 cards he pulled a Warrior of Lights. Now, unfortunately, with Wall, you only get to pick one of them. So it will come down to what he needs right now. The card name Warrior of Light, the light card, would be very useful. That was the card that Christian used Cloud of Darkness to destroy. So having it back would be incredibly helpful. He's going to grab the 2-cost Fire one, which has haste. It could just be good for a quick attack right now. He may even just want it to discard it for CP. That's obviously one of the advantages of being able to discard your cards for resources, is occasionally you'll choose something that's less favorable to you, so that it gives you something that you can discard as a resource. All right, going to Christian's turn. Ooh, he has a card that searches monster, which is going to be very helpful for Cloud of Darkness, and it looks like he's going to play it. I'm a big fan of this card. It's a 3-cost ice card that, when it enters the field, searches monsters, and and pretty much having the we're going to play Hurdy. So Hurdy instead says that he can reveal a card, and I believe that's his hand. I'm not entirely sure how it works. I don't have it in front of me. What I might just do is swap around the stream so I can view the big stream on my monitor here and the little searching up cards on my monitor here. That may work a bit better for people. And by people, I mean me. All right. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so I can see things now. All right. All right. So he's going to attack with Warrior of Light. Oh, no, Dull Freeze. Warrior of Light has been Dull Frozen. It's been Dull Frozen by Cloud of Darkness's ability. I'm pretty sure Cloud of Darkness should freeze herself in this scenario. So when Cloud of Darkness attacks, each player sets up to 2 active characters he usually controls, dull and freeze them. I believe that applied to Cloud of Darkness herself, but I could be wrong about that one. Not sure. Got any judges in chat? Let me know. And I am a judge, and I was pretty sure that Cloud of Darkness, because it was active when that ability was declared. I don't know. Hey, maybe not. To explain why Cloud of Darkness sees as much play as it does. Yeah, so you notice that card the Christian has, the backup searches monsters. The reason this deck plays a lot of monsters, where you wouldn't typically see as many of them in this game, is because Cloud of Darkness needs to be dull freezing 2 active things when attacks. And monsters suffer the least from being dull frozen. In some cases, they lose no functionality whatsoever, which can be really helpful as much having your targets for Cloud of Darkness to be attacking. I think when this set came up, I experimented with Cloud of Darkness a lot, and I probably leaned too much into the monsters. I would typically be having 4 monsters on the field at once, so that I was always getting that dull freeze 2 things with Cloud of Darkness. I even played Snow backup, which means a 3rd thing was being dulled. Pretty much mean that Cloud of Darkness was better than unblockable. But yeah, probably put too much of the deck resources towards that. All right. If you're in chat, come say hey. I'm very lonely. Might do a shout out to the stream when this game's over. I can probably do it now. One moment, people. Sorry for the commentating. We'll take a second. Oh. All right. Okay, I am back. Sorry for the break. Ooh, so we've seen Alex play 9-cost Yizmet. 9 CP is very rare in this game. It's definitely one of the most expensive cards in the game. You typically would consider a 5-cost character, sort of a boss character, as it were, where they're got extra utility and are sort of treated a bit differently by the game for extra cost. Anything above 5 is sort of definitely in that range. So to see a card that is 9 cost is really incredible. I originally didn't think Gizmet would see a lot of competitive play. I thought it just might be too expensive or whatever. But that EX burst and ensuring that both when it enters the field, it is providing players value, and for every turn that it's staying on the field, it's activating an ability and it's providing more value. So if Christian isn't able to efficiently deal with Yizmet, that could cause him the game in the long term. One of the things that Yizmet does, which might be specifically relevant here, we get that monster search. Now, any search in this game, even if it's searching for for any card whatsoever, you need to show your opponent what you're searching for. So there, Christian's grabbed a lightning monster. That could either be for the CP for Rapier. I don't see his hand currently, or it could be for its own play. But yeah, when Yizmet at the start of the turn, oh yeah, he does have Rapier in his hand. So will he use it for the extra backup? Yep, he absolutely will. 100% understand that. That's not how that works. Yo, rule judge. Whoa, 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 whoa. Break, rule break. Rule break. Typing in the chat. That's not how the rule works. That's not the rules. Infringement. Rule breaking. Pierre. Pierre, one dies. Yeah, I can't hear you, Christian. Not play. I realize I'm absolutely getting Rampierre confused, which I don't believe I am. I can't hear anything the players are saying. I think that's something we'll have to get fixed in the next game. But from my memory, that ramp you wouldn't have been able to play that Chantoto unless it got played with regular CP, which I don't believe it did. Yeah, when Rampierre is put in the field in the break zone, you may play a Category 9 character, not when Rampierre enters the field. So there has been a rule break here. That might be something that we need to address. So learning moment, teaching moment in this situation. So as a judge, obviously, like if something gets noticed, you try to undo the play. You can issue a warning to both players. Typically, you know, people are good. Like there's not really enough stakes in this game to want to intentionally break the rules. But the you know, so it's just a warning. But if it sort of keeps going, it can cause a massive violation. Now, this is a relatively small-scale tournament, and unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do to communicate to these players right now that there was a rule break, and now sort of time is proceeding. But hey, this is teaching us about the stream, kids. Don't break the rules. Play the game well. Read your cards. The most overpowered strategy in this entire game is reading your cards and reading your opponent's cards. Far too often, people will just lose the game because they're just sort of in autopilot, and when they see a card they don't recognize, they're not reading it. That's absolutely a trap you don't want to fall into. So we'll see what we can get sorted out for the next game. But yeah, so in this situation, if Christian wins the game here, it's still a valid win. But ideally it's not something we want to have happen, especially when the ability it was that relevant, that powerful of a swing of the game, right? By getting that 9-cost Chantoto onto the field. So yeah, Christian's not going to be able to play that dark card either in his hand. This means Alex, he's a bit going to be not stuck next turn, but he's functionally got a dead card that can't be discarded as a resource. Okay, so Yizmet triggered. I don't see what he did. This is where it'd be helpful to have a second commentator just to catch everything that's happening. All right, I think it's Alex's turn. Okay, it's a lot of thinking what to do. We'll have to get back at the end of the stream. Oh, we're going to play the ref here. All right. So what we're going to see now is he can, I believe it's play from hand or search and play. It might be search and play. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. Search and play. Search and play some of the other Onion kids. In this case, he can play 3-cost Arc from his deck directly onto the field. Super relevant, super powerful. Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna Gonna try to get it so I can hear what the players are saying. So I can, in these interactions, sort of better keep a grip and better commentate for you to see what happens. All right. So let's currently chat about what the current board state is. Alex absolutely has a very strong field here right now. High 10k blocker. Both Arc and Ignis are at 8k each, and Refia is at 10k. So really powerful heavy hitters. Likewise, Christian also has some very powerful heavy hitters, but not quite as not quite as high. All right, so we're now seeing that he's got that Kane, which from memory, the power reduction on the total damage on Kane is only an 8k. He doesn't have another. I mean, it's 11 character, so he could use it to play Star Sibyl, which is it's not an inefficient move. As far as Rampier targets, it's not as good as a Shantoto or a 9-cost Shantoto or a 9-cost Frisch. Oh no, he can't play the Star Sibyl. He currently has one on the field. Interesting. What's he going to do? He's a bit stuck. He could play the Kane at full cost and discard the Star Sibyl to do so. Actually, no, that'd only be 7, so he can't even do it that way. He could pop one of his backups to reduce the cost of the Kane and then play it, which, it's doable, gets another forward on the field, but it's not exactly, it's such an efficient turn doing that not wasting Kane, but not getting the full potential from it would be a tad bit of a waste. But at the same time, you never want to be a scenario where you have all these resources and no cards to play, which is where Christian finds himself, especially when, he's behind both on the damage points and I'd argue the overall board state. He's definitely got more resources with the backups, but if he's gonna have to waste 5 CP a turn like this, it's not gonna help him. So I think in this case it was a very rough draw. Getting both the Star Sibyl and the Kane there, neither of those were super efficient. If he grabbed a monster or something else, pretty much, any other forward would have been really helpful to him. Okay, he's currently searching through his break zone. I'm not super familiar with Hurdy's break ability. Hurdy might be able to help him a bit. Let me look that one up. All right, Hurdy. Put Hurdy in the break zone. Choose one tactics advance 2 forward in your break zone at 10. Okay, so if he has a tactics advance 2 forward in his break zone, he can break Hurdy, intentionally break his backup, so he's not receiving resources from that anymore for the rest of the game. To get a tactics advance forward back in his hand, just so he can have something to play with all of his CP. I think that's probably what I would do in his situation if he has one, but he may not. And that was definitely what the checks was about. All right. Such a sticky scenario. And these players are on the clock. They have, I believe, a 30-minute timer, which I don't know what the time is at currently. But they do have a 30-minute timer to finish the entire game. Well, not finish the entire game. You finish it and then you go to a turn count after that. But if Christian, stalls for too long, that might hurt his chances overall. It's a hard decision. All right, Mike. Okay, so we got the Hurdy there, the Rapier, Darling and Dulling, and Dulling 3. Oh, is he going to play the game? He's going to play the Gelders. Can he play the Gelders? Let me look up Emperor. Yeah, no, Alex has caught it. It's not a legal play. I was going to just check with the Emperor Gestalt. Oh, he's dropping Emperor Gestalt. Let me pull up that interaction. Emperor Gestalt. Choose one Dark Forward of 5 cards or less from your hand. Play one Dark Forward of 5 cards from your hand of the field. Yeah, so he's done that with Galvez. Completely fine. That's a legal play. Yeah, maybe the best thing he could have done there. It's not super great. But gets him Galder's. Galder's, when it dies, is going to help him search for more monsters. All right, he's using Yizmet to break the Shantoto. Get out of here. That's yeah. So once they're gonna keep that Yizmet on the field, it's at every turn. It's gonna have that utility for you. All right, War of Light has returned. Unfortunately, that means that Refia, Arc, Ignis, and I believe himself all have a 2,000 power damage reduction, I should say, which on top of Minwu is going to be pretty lethal. It's going to be very difficult for Christian to come back from this without, I would say, something like a board wipe. So I think he's just gone and he's attacked with Refia there. Yep. And then oh, characters are pointing towards something. Okay, how's things going in the chat? Got some rule breakers here. Some very naughty rule breakers. Look at 8 people in the chat. How's it going? Oh, can't currently see the chat, but it's fine. You guys are significant and important. And you are. Yeah. Pausing. Player. That's that. Alright. Sorry, 1 second. I had to refresh my stream. If you currently have a chat, I'm going to collapse that. Hello. Hey, there we go. All right, everything's all back set up. Oh, looking back at this board state. Dark times ahead for Christian. He is going to do power reduction from Galdes. I don't think that's enough to kill Ignis, though. You're going to choose to get a monster back instead. So we got some ruling questions. All right. Oh, another Yizmet. All right. Oh, is that the same Yizmet? Slate chat. It's an hour later for me than it is for these people. And then I was rewatching that interaction. Sorry, not the mic. Okay. All right, Christian's turn. Again. Oh no, still got the damage points. That's 6. One more hit. Oh, and we've reached time. One more hit. Okay. Christian does have the cards for haste. He's got 2 monsters, which are useful. He's got these Star Sybil in his hand. If I was Christian right now, I would break Star Sybil. Oh, is it an 8 cost? I think it is an 8 cost, so you can't play it with Star Sybil. Oh, it's such an awkward time for Christian. I'm not super familiar with what that monster does. I believe it's removal. Like I believe it would lower power enough to remove not even something. Like it means he'd be able to block 2 attacks, but you need a lot more than 2 attacks to survive this next field. He doesn't have an 11 character. Okay. Pop. top. Yep, it's breaking. Renpierre as the cost reduction. Yeah, discard that as a cost reduction for Kane. That means there's, I believe, power loss on forward of choosing. And then you're gonna see this monster play. Okay, he's gonna choose Arc. I think it's choosing Arc or Ignis. They're very similar cards. That's damage reduction. I don't think Kane is damage. Oh, I got a Discord message. So close Octagon. Zoom. Yeah, might be better. All right. Just going in sorting out stream stuff so that I can hear what's happening on their end. I can always turn it down, but I just need a little bit more feedback in regards to which characters are choosing what. It's a quiet wasteland for me at the moment. All right. Okay. There we go. I can hear people now.
Well, you can do 9,000 reduction.
Yeah, which would kill, that'd kill either of those?
Yes.
No, just for fun. I'll break that one then.
Alright, can you hear us?
And I'll end my turn.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, awesome.
Two main
we won't be able to hear you though.
And then you know what? I'm gonna break that to play song.
Oh, you bastard.
Actually, no, I didn't even do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that attack with Yasmin.
Yeah. Well done.
All right, there we go. Alex is our first winner of the night on stream.
That's alright, it happens, man.
Sorry, dude.
And
wipe the floor with me.
My opening hand had 3 lights. Actually, that was in my mulligan hand. And then I had the Earth Wall. Yeah, and then Arc came soon after that. I was like, man. Oh, Yasmin came soon after that, and another Earth Wall. I'm like, jeez.
Oh, yeah, man. Nah, you did really well. Well done. I only got 2 hits.
good gains to both players. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that what if scenario if Christian had won.
Does that play the audio at the time that we're speaking, or is it now over the time lapse? You know what I mean?
Now?
Oh, other way.
Yeah, no, it's pretty responsive. I can hear you.
Oh, they can't hear you, by the way.
No, I get that. They shouldn't be able to hear me because then I'm telling strategies and what they have in their hands. So it's definitely better that they can't hear me.
Sorry. We were 7-5.
Alrighty.
But
Alrighty, next game.
oh, thanks, Zach. Do you want to commentate too?
Yes.
Like we can get you in on this Discord call. I would appreciate it. I'm lonely. I'm in self. Having someone else to talk to would be great.
Who's playing at the table?
You guys should play the table.
I haven't seen. Oh, wait.
Alright, well, let's see who we've got up. Alright, next. The current time is the second game that we have
But
here.
they already know what's about. Oh,
Remember to drink water, people. Remember to hydrate. It's a hard world out there, so hydration is the best thing. All right, what decks are we gonna see next? Sorry, we saw 2 very powerful decks up, so we'll see how it goes from there. Right. Oh, we've got the flags on the flame mat. We have 2 Bart's flame mats, but one is a Super Champion flame mat. All right. So I hear Alex again. Who else? Who else do we have on playing? Is it Baz?
Double die or just one die?
Oh, it looks like we have Bill. All right, old rivals here, Alex. Bill. That's all right, Zach. Some other time. All right. Get into our second game. All right, so I believe, yep, Alex. Alex is in the same position as we're at the bottom, and Bill will be on the top of the screen there. Alex is going to go with the mulligan. So traditionally, how these? Ooh, Alex is playing what looks to be a mono ice deck list. Traditionally more of a fire player, but mono ice is a very powerful aggro element, and probably Bill Abbott, I would argue, is the best aggro player on the Sunshine Coast. So I think that fits in very nicely. In regards to these two players' playstyle, as I quickly just mentioned there, Bill is, not always, but pretty confidently falls himself in the aggro playstyle, which pretty much means that his job and his game plan is to win the game as quickly as possible before you can sort of get your game even going. The con of such a strategy is that if your opponent is able to stabilize the game, they're able to sort of stall for long enough and get things set up, they're going to have tools in their house than you do. And it's not a guaranteed win, but it's going to be difficult to come back from that. Alex, on the other hand, as we saw in the previous game, is typically more of a combo player. So he likes to play cards that may not be super powerful by themselves, but when combined with other cards in his deck, are going to provide him a lot of value and a lot of potential. The downside of that strategy is it relies on you getting the cards when you need them, and it typically means you want to have them in a relatively strict order on the field. It varies from deck to deck. The combo decks traditionally would like to have a certain card out first or second before they can do other things. So an example of that is the card that was just played, which is, what's her name again? Materia? I believe her name's Materia from the City Games, who, on top of searching him a light card, will also allow him to play multiple light characters on the field. As we saw in the last game, they're really helpful because it allows him to have both the very powerful Refia and the very powerful Warrior of Light cards, which are two light cards on the field at the same time. Great example of what I was just talking
You can play two or more light characters onto the field. So Materia enters the field, you may set it for one light to your hand. Materia can be playing onto the field even if you control it.
All right. How would I deal with the Warrior of Light deck? All right, good question. So a lot of combo decks rely having specific pieces on the field at once, right? Which means they're very susceptible to removal. So if you're pretty much going and you're dealing with really light cards by playing something like Shentoto, which is going to completely wipe out the entire board for both players, or playing even singular removal that is sort of lowering power or just removing from the game, will not only will it just destroy a card, in the case of a combo deck, it may break a vital part of the strategy. So that's kind of how you go about approaching that. Board wipes like Shentoto are really great because in a situation where both players have had their boards completely, if you're playing an aggro deck, which is, again, assuming, I'm not saying much of what Bill's playing, but I'm assuming an aggro deck, your game plan is much less reliant on needing specific things out, so you can sort of recover from the Shentoto a lot sooner and ideally win the game. And we'll see if this plays out. Obviously, in Ice, I get some messages. In Ice, Bill doesn't have access to cards like Shentoto, or a card called Shentoto specifically, but he does have. What's Bill? Oh, okay. Sorry, that is not Bill playing. Well, thank you for very much telling that. I don't know who's playing then. Huh. They didn't tell me. Oh, very rude. Let me look it up. I'm not super familiar with this person. Maybe if I saw a face, I'd recognize. You can ignore what I was saying previously about the player's playstyle because I'm not super familiar with what we're seeing there. But that's more exciting. So I get to see what's gonna come ahead. All right. Let me pull this chat back up. Thanks very much for that message. Like I said, this is more of a trial stream. We're sort of seeing how things go. Alright, so we'll start 2. The only is 5 CP. So you can use that rapier to get back some of those cards you just discarded and playing them on the field. So we'll see if that's what he does, or if he chooses to grab a different card. Typically, Warrior of Light deck play 2 Ignis. Sorry, 4 cost Ignis, I should say, because it is the highest cost card
When she attacks, choose one forward opponent controls. If you control 4 or more Job Warriors of Light.
A standard unit, which is sort of just building that momentum even more. But, you know, that's not always what you want. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just having a side conversation with Bill. It's very wholesome. And back to the game. All right, so Alex has definitely sort of got the field advantage currently. He's got 2 very significant forwards for his combo strategies on the field. He's both 1 backup less. Oh, good and dull for the Genesis. Very common card. Very, very good card.
When Job Warrior of Light, the Job Warrior of Light forwards and 5 forwards you control other than Lunas gain 1000 power. Its second ability I never used, but dollar total 3 active forwards, 4, 5 backups.
Sorry, just hearing Alex explain what the card is. Very important and polite, but when they ask you what your cards do, you read it out to them. You can, of course, like spin it around, but then I got to lean forward. And given recent pandemics, it's, you know, keeping a safe distance from one each other is definitely recommended. And don't be all Marlboros up in here. Like, cleanliness is good. All right, so what pretty much what that Genesis is like there's going to allow him to do in a more broader scope of game is every time it attacks, if Alex chooses not to block with it, it's going to force him to discard a card from his hand. Now, he's probably not going to be letting that through because he has some high power forwards that he can choose to block with it. But it's a real threat that's just going to sort of linger on the board, similar to how the Yizmet did last game, to enable him to provide a bit more pressure. Ooh, speaking of Yizmet, here it is. Oh.
Either choose one forward, it costs 5 more, break it, choose one monster, break it, or activate it.
So he's probably going to use that Yizmet to activate backups on Refia, would be my guess. Yep. Which means the Refia is now going to be able to attack again this turn. You may see the first couple of points of damage here.
Enter attack.
Chat, you can like message me in regards to what sort of level of the game that you're playing at. Are you already familiar with the card game? You played it before? Are you like someone who maybe has heard of it or played a couple of games but not super familiar with it? Or like die-hard veterans? Because I'll be able to sort of tailor my commentary and my explanations to, you know, sort of the audience I have. So that Yasmin is obviously a very powerful card that's providing a lot of value, especially if Stevie's not going to be able to have the resources to remove it. But it cost him 9. You know, with 1 backup in hand, you know, that's what. Let's do some quick maths. That's 4 cards plus the backup. And in a combo focused deck where you need so many of those pieces to be building your general strategy. Yeah, Solera. That's the removal I was talking about. Ice has incredible summons in this game. Every element sort of plays a bit differently, but Ice in particular has some of the most potent summons in the game. And I think we've just seen an example of that.
You have no cards today? No.
1 second, people.
Do we 7,000?
Just having to toggle between different conversations between different people.
7,000 to a dollar forward? Okay. Yeah. If I don't have 5, it does 4,000. And I'll have to cost you.
We're going to play Laswell. I don't see that Laswell being played super commonly. I think I saw a bit of play
activate
Well,
on 14.
if any less, I think I typically
Oh,
one that works with fire a bit more frequently.
right. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I shall end my turn.
Enter combat, and I'll swing with a party attack.
Okay.
That's a 7 and a 4.
5 and an 8.
All right. So we've just got a party attack. So this gives me a great chance to explain how that works. Pretty much, you
Of course, I
get
have to discuss
forwards
like
and
a
say
damage.
Yes.
That's fine.
they attack together. Their power is combined, but it only functions as one attack. So in this case, I believe I can't quite read the Laswell, but I'll think that's 11,000. Not counting the backup bonuses.
That's why I drew 2 warriors.
And then you can sort of be able
That
to
is harsh.
that you're not going to want to block with that Yizmet. If you do choose to block with that Yizmet and is destroyed, you choose one of the forwards that attacked you, and you deal your 10,000 to that forward. So it's a bit of risk reward. There's definitely reasons you want to do it. Wind is and Chocobo specifically are really built all around parties. But it's a great mechanic in allowing smaller forwards, which otherwise might be not as useful, to still be relevant in varying board states, like a 9 cost 10k. All right. So, I believe it's Alex's turn now, and unfortunately, the 2 cards he has in hand, he can play one of them. He can play the Luzos.
Phase 2 and
Okay.
But he's going to choose not to, which I think I agree with. The Luso is definitely an end game card. It's incredibly powerful, but in the combo fashion requires you a strict requirement. Luso gains more abilities the more varying elements you have. With at 5 different elements, you then get the ability to, whenever you attack, you deal your opponent point of damage, regardless of whether that attack hits or whatever else. You can be functionally doing 2 points of damage. Incredibly powerful ability, one of the most powerful abilities in the game, but it's got such a difficult requirement to meet consistently.
Kristen, can I still play Alexander's EX with the activated backup and draw 1 card if I don't have something that needs to be activated?
Yes, you can, because you can activate the.
I've always been iffy on that.
Choose 1 backup you control, activate it, draw 1.
Yep, you can activate active backups.
It just fizzles the activation.
No. It'll still.
Hey.
You activate it, it'll still activate it.
If you have a backup, you
Yeah.
just choose that.
Yeah, so it's draw card.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then you just spend it.
Yep. Yeah, if people who are playing do have rules, obviously there's a bit of delay, and someone on your end who needs to be listening to the stream to get the answer. Oh, that's a lot of hits. But did we see a back attack? Sephiroth's dull. Very good play. Back attack is a very rare ability in this game, but it allows you to play on your opponent and wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Choose up to 3 jumped warriors of rival units and activate them.
Yeah.
When Arc enters field, choose 1 job standing unit or warrior of light that costs 3 or less and breaks hand and play it onto the field.
Oh, nice.
All right, he's gonna play Luna. Would be my guess to see right now with the 3 cost.
That's all gone.
Yeah, there we go.
So that becomes what, 8,000?
That's a 7. That becomes a 9, and that's still a 10.
All right.
Alright.
This is heating up now.
I forgot
So
Yasmat's ability. Well, didn't really matter. You didn't have any monsters, 5 costs, or nothing.
yeah, there wasn't anything super relevant there.
Main phase 1? Oh, okay. That was
No, it's main phase 1. And enters field.
Yeah.
Well,
You couldn't do anything, right?
yeah, 4 now. I'll end my turn.
Sure.
all right. So how I likely expect to see this next turn go, not knowing what Stevie has in his hand, is that we will see probably another party attack. I'd imagine Dennis will start a party attack again because of that discarding ability. Yep, there we go. We got a party attack with the Argith. That's
plus 4, which is 12,000.
Yep, so that's 12. He takes the hit. He's going to have to discard a card from his hand. Kind of doesn't want to be blocking with any of his pieces either. So 7 is a crucial number in this game. And there's a bit of, I forget the name of the fallacy, but you can look it up. It's something like the Pirate Captain's Bluff or something, where pretty much how it works. Something bad happens. Lose the game. So you want to avoid being at 7. Now, to avoid being at 7, you would have to always block with all of your forwards when you're at 6, right? Because if you don't choose to block with any of your forwards, the attack will come in your 7. So you've lost a lot of options, right? So for that reason, you don't really ever want to be at 6 damage points because you've suddenly lost a lot of the choices of how you play a turn. But at 6 damage points, so you want to be avoiding being at 6, which means you ideally want to be at 5. So at 5 damage points, you still have the option to block, but you can take that one hit if you need to, which can be really crucial. And so you kind of avoid wanting to be in that situation. So then it goes to 4 and so on and so forth. Probably paraphrasing there. It's hard to say, but pretty much, obviously, no damage points are good damage points. But those points from 5, 6, and obviously 7 are so much more relevant to how you play the game compared to damage points 1, 2, 3, and 4. Still obviously important, and depending on the board state, if your opponent has a board full of forwards, those 1, 2, 3, 4 points of damage are going to matter a lot more because they can do 4 points of damage in one. But typically we don't see super huge board states in this game.
No, I don't. At the beginning of the main phase, you have to doll.
Which just erase the entire field have been such a core part of the strategy of this game since its release.
And during my turn, I can freeze if I play 1 dice.
To the point that we have the term.
Does that one hit before my Yasma's main phase? Because then it would just be I choose 1 and then I'll reactivate with the Yasma.
You are priority, so you are stack 1 and I'm stack 2. So your activate. My Garland would not matter. Yeah.
Which case?
Correct ruling on that one, Charles.
That one, and then use its ability to reactivate and have a 5 or a monster. Yep. Cool. Why?
So Alex is not in a great scenario right now. At 5.
I have no Oh, that is hard.
And yeah, this is one of the weaknesses you gotta have with a sort of a combo deck. That if you can't consistently build up the field presence to have all of those pieces, then you've lost the game. Whereas your opponent, who is simply just don't really need to worry about that because you're still always playing. You're still always playing like a card that is good in a more variety scenario. So I think Stevie will probably take this game unless we see something drastic happen. Okay, so what's happened here, which is really interesting, is that Alex has chosen to attack regardless, to do 2 points of damage, as opposed to trying to see the turn through and block. The advantages of this, right? It means obviously he's resigned his fate into pretty much losing the game. But since the tournament structure is set up in such a way where the more damage points you do, the better it is pretty much in the readings. By getting those extra 2 hits in, it means that by getting those extra 2 points of damage, it means Alex has better set himself up for the rankings for the rest of the tournament. So you can get that sort of backwards and forwards of. Question from Zach: do you think in this match the person playing ice has too much pressure on Alex for him to keep up and set himself up, or could also be the combination of not drawing the cards he needs?
Like,
So yeah, so pretty much ice as an element is really focused on another deck strategy, which is known as control, which is all about rather than so much playing your own winning strategy, you're controlling the board state in such a way that you're stopping your opponent doing theirs. And this was a great example of control doing what it needed to do, right? Like by having him discard cards and by having sort of these extra resources, he was able to stop Alex getting the cards he needed. So it wasn't just that, oh, he didn't draw the pieces he needed, is that he didn't really ever have the resources. Like he finished the game with one backup, didn't really ever have the resources to be able to play the cards even if he drew them. So it's an excellent sort of counterplay. Now that's not necessarily a set matchup. Like you can get a scenario where a combo deck is going to beat a control deck because the pieces of the combo offer greater value than what the control is getting rid of, right? Perhaps like that Luso ability, you know, it's just getting through so much stuff. You don't have to worry about it, or you know, you don't functionally have enough room in the control to be able to stop playing those pieces. But that just didn't happen in this game. I think the lack of backups really, the early game lack of backups really hurt him. The game went on longer and longer and longer. The discard from Argith and from Genesis
It doesn't go towards
keep up, couldn't keep up the resource battle, and functionally the game was lost on CP as much as it was on finish point. Great question, Zach.
Which one of these are we using? That's the previous one.
Sorry if I'm talking too fast. I'm like, I need to chill. I need to have some tea. Hydrate, babe.
Feel free to have some. It's...
No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't even be any closer than this to you guys.
Yeah.
Someone has just wandered into and out of the room.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, you want 7 points.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you put the 7 in yours, it says that was the winner. Yeah, automatically. Yeah.
Good gains for both the players there. It's great. It was great to see Alex like have such a strong lead in the first game, and then you know just in a different matchup and in different hands, you know, wasn't able to pull.
What do you play Cloud of Darkness?
I do.
I hate that card too.
It's out to certain things.
Yeah. Are you playing as like your last, you know, card in
It's
the...
actually my out to yes bet. That's it.
Yeah, so dollar threes. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So hearing the players talk just then, it's like playing Cloud of Darkness that we saw in the previous game from Christian, just to deal with the Yasmat and having more consistent dealt frees to get over the big thing.
Bill, what
Yeah.
at the moment?
He plays mostly 7-5,
So it's like, okay, cool.
but
Aggressive.
he's alternating a little bit with Earth. Earth White.
Okay.
I'd be really curious. So for people who don't know, tomorrow / sneaky tonight is a really special day for the Final Fantasy trading card game, because today is the day that a new set comes out. That means that we're seeing a brand new release of about 150 cards from memory. I can check. Let me check.
Starter decks.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be legal as well. Or maybe they have.
How many cards do we have in Opus 11? The new set. All right, so in total we have 140 cards. We've got a brand new 140 cards being added to the game as of tonight, to the point where if we, I don't know whether or not we're going to end up seeing it pre-release on stream. If we do, we might be seeing the world premiere of some cards that we just won't see anywhere else. At least not for a couple of hours/days. So that could be really exciting. Like I'm always pumped to see cards I've never seen before on stream.
Paul Bar monster deck.
Let's see what's
I don't mind. Either I. Whether or not you want to be interested, that's alright. That's your choice.
all right. I think we got the next game coming out. If you can get people to say their names aloud. Who's playing whom? Because I was very wrong last game. Oh, and I'm also getting more Discord messages from people.
Yes.
More Discord from Bill. So, just getting some comments from Bill just then. I'll just read them out to everyone. Bill's really excited about the new set that they're missing out of. He's very excited to do all the antics with the new Final Fantasy VII Cloud and Aerith.
Which means I should put a lot of pressure.
No pre-release tonight. I'd heard otherwise, Bill, but
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what's happening.
First a second.
The official statement from VR was given Corona stuff. People, but I don't quite know what's happening. We'll see.
Actually, yeah, this is.
But yeah, it's regardless. It's really exciting to have another set. I'm really excited to get those cards into Octagon or GN, which is pretty much the application used to play this game online with other people. That's probably where I play the game most of all. It's my most common sort of play space if you to find me playing. Okay, fair enough. Cool. So yeah, now Bill's just confirmed that we're not going to be seeing any pre-release stuff on stream. So sorry, folks. But for all things legal, that's probably even the good.
There's a monster. Your opponent selects one forward.
All right, so it looks like we're seeing Alex playing a monster deck here, and
No, it just says reveal, so it doesn't.
I think we've got Ben Finley.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me check on here to see if we can confirm. First this. No, I don't quite have a confirmation by chance. This may just be a casual game.
Still getting a yellow.
I'll go ask people. Is this casuals?
You got Kuja last time, but you actually paid it as a cost.
Yes.
Okay, no, so yeah, it's Stevie and Alex again. I recognize. Playing some pauper decks, or at least we got a pauper deck, I think, against the deck we saw last time. Playing some monsters, running that monster that lets you draw more cards that I've been experimenting a bit myself recently. I'm still trying to make Sin work. Still not making Sin work. I'm currently experimenting with the monsters that the secret to getting Sin to be successful. It's not really looking like it. But there are some exciting Sin things in the works because of the new Rosa. So for those who are not super keeping track, the new Rosa has a special ability that allows you to return any characters you want from the field to your hand, which pretty much means the turn that you're going to play Sin, which is a board wipe, you get to return everything, teleport it all with Rosa's S ability back in your hand and use it for resources to then play your second Sin and ideally win the game and do other shenanigans. Currently, it's not super working out for me because it's quite slow and it's hard to keep enough pieces on the field for long enough to get there. You know, like Sin is already a really heavy cost 9, let alone Sin and an S ability. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so Bill's asking, yeah, the new Rosa. I don't know if you've typed that. So yeah, Bill, that's how you can find out that is that's when I received your question.
Cool.
Yeah, not a whole lot of new stuff. If anything, Opus cards that helped with Sin. It's of Elden nice. It had an EX burst Searcher, Elden Ash and Calmanite nice. It had that new monster, which you see in the break zone there from Alex, which allows you to pay costs upfront, which is then going to be able to break later for your cards, which is really useful for getting around the restriction that this game has of only having 5 cards in your hand at the end of the turn. To sort of sneak around that restriction, which for those who aren't familiar with Sin, you're wanting to do Sin Elden Ash on the same turn, which requires playing a 9-cost Dark card Sin, a 6-cost Dark card Elden Ash, and another 9-cost plus a discarding of Sin. On the same turn, you need about 22 CP, so getting all the CP you possibly can. Super relevant. So yeah, I'm currently experimenting with that monster. Still can't make Sin work. I think my best Sin is still the version I played at Fire Cup. Sin is still just too slow, and the really hard restriction with Sin, it's not even the 9 cost, not even the dark. Like the dark is rough, but it's not even the dark. The hardest thing with Sin is that when he enters the field, he deals you a point of damage on top of the board wipe, which functionally means you're playing the game at only 6 life compared to the 7 that your opponent's playing it at. So I really wish we had some way to
I shall
avoid that. There's like cards like Branson,
pay the 2
but
costs and break that to break that.
enough to see it, have it see play in the Sin deck.
Same move as
But I still want to make Sin work.
Yay!
Eventually, I'll try. I'll keep throwing my head against that wall. See if I can pull off something, because like it's such an interesting card, and I really like alternate win conditions. So I've not been super commentating hard on this match, but it's a casual match, so I get to rant about Sin. You know, Sin's great. Covet your neighbor's wife. I don't know. This isn't a Christian stream. Alright, let's hope we can get started.
Okay, next I'm just curious to see what I'm going to get. I was going to get no forwards. When we see my forwards,
So I think
there's
we'll
a round
reach.
there. Second turn.
Alright. 2 games we're gonna see in the next round. There's either Alex versus
And then let's
Ben,
go. I'm gonna have
or
another.
Stevie versus Christian
Yes.
Hodges.
Start
I don't know which one we'll see on stream. I assume we're not going to see Alex on stream again, but we might.
Shits and giggles.
So we'll see how it goes. Ben's not had a chance to be on stream yet, but he's also helping run the stream over on their end in Queensland. So he there's some advantages for him not being on
Do
stream.
you have to wait a turn for Kafka? What's that? You have to wait for a turn for Kafka?
Unless I use that electric jellyfish.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wait, is electric jellyfish give haste or? Sorry, I remember using. I think it's. Was it?
I'm pretty sure it's haste.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have done it.
Alright.
Yeah.
Right. Who will we see on stream? I bet you're not going to read out their names because they're mean to me personally. Also, which exciting. Oh yeah, hydrate break.
I've already seen my deck.
How did you go with the
Alright.
Did okay in the last one.
Alright. So it looks like we are going to see Christian.
Oh yeah.
Christian versus Stevie. So
Yeah.
for those not familiar, the way this game works is there's no side deck, and you can't adjust your decks in any way during the tournament. The deck that you enter with is the deck you're playing with. There are no alterations or adjustments in between games, and no side deck. So we've actually already seen both of these decks already last game. So we have the Rampire deck, and we have sort of the Control Ice deck. Didn't get to see a whole lot of the Ice deck last time. Like, we know there's some Cloud Darkness shenanigans. See what happens here. Red Pit decks are an example of combo decks, like what we saw with the Warriors of Light in the previous game, but their combos are a lot more consistent, and the payoff happens more immediately. So, for example, in a Warrior of Light combo, you're getting lots of cards called Warrior of Light on the field that need to be sitting on the field to continue their value for being high-powered forwards that have incredibly high power and whatever else. The Renpir deck is more about playing specific cards that, when they enter the field, have a burst of utility. So, for example, you'll play that 9-cost Shantoto. Oh, that's mean. So, pretty much what's just happened here, the 2-cost forward's been played first turn. Make Christian discard a card from his hand. It looks like he's going to discard the Dark Hien. We'll see how he goes. No, discards Kane. Fair enough. I understand that. That's a really brutal turn because it means just starting the game, not only with the forward on the field, which you kind of want to end so they don't keep attacking you, but also losing a card, so you're inherently just one card from the get-go. Anyway, continue what I was saying. Yeah, so in the case of that 9-cost Shantoto and Rapier combo, by playing that card, you're either breaking one of their 3-cost characters, and that's characters, not forwards. So that includes backups, or you're resurrecting one of your 3-cost characters. So by doing the combo of breaking Rapier with Kane, with Gabranth. No, not Gabranth. Golbez.
Not the cards I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golbez is the guy. Right. I always forget the G names. Garland? Yes, God, there's Gabranth, Garland, and Golbez. There's 3 armored Final Fantasy characters with names starting with G, and I always get them confused. And X-Death is up there, but he's luckily begins with an E. Anyway, by using Garland, by using Kane, by using Cloud of Darkness, by using all these other cards, you turn negative things, which were intended to restrict your usage of them. Oh, okay. I'm gonna comment on this in a second. Into positive things because you get so much utility by using the ability of Repair and breaking it. So what we saw here was really interesting from both decks. So we saw from Stevie's deck that Vayne was his first point of damage. Now Vayne is a tax card, which pretty much reads that at the end of the turn, if your opponent doesn't have enough resources to pay per forwards they have to start breaking them. So it very much looks like Stevie's playstyle is leaning on the I'm going to control you, I'm going to use discard things like the Argoth we saw in the first turn to reduce how many resources you have. Then I'm going to be playing these tax cards which say if you don't have enough resources to pay the tax, I'm going to get lots of utility. So that's a really powerful combo and sort of setup in a control deck. All right. Is it discarded Cloud of Darkness or is he playing Cloud of Darkness? Oh no, he searched Cloud of Darkness. Yeah, fair enough. Very powerful card. Passing turn, getting another backup. Alright. So what's Christian got? He's got his own Cloud of Darkness, which he can play, but it's not super CP efficient. He's got 2 dark cards in the field. Dark and light cards can be paid for with any element, but they cannot be discarded for CP. And you can typically only have one of them on the field at a time. It makes them very volatile to use. Typically, every deck will play 1 or 2 light or dark cards because they are so powerful. Not every deck. I've got some shenanigans where I intentionally don't play light or dark cards, but the by having both of them in his hand, it's kind of led him to have a bit of a dead hand. I don't remember if I didn't think I saw Christian playing Chaos in the last set, which typically Kalmanat paired very well. So we'll do that. All right, so we're gonna go Takalua. Garland, that's good. That's another sort of tax card, so it's definitely good to see those ending up in the damage zone. Hope meaning that Christian's less likely to need to deal with them. Not gonna play anything this turn. Cards in hand, 5. Okay. Oh, any turn you're not building resource. Okay, that's Cloud of Darkness. He's got one in his hand. That's another world. There's his own Cloud of Darkness. He's gonna break his Argoth. Yep, has to his Allure. So Christian's down a scenario. He's got all his cards in his hand, but he doesn't have any resources on the field. Doesn't have any forwards. Doesn't have any backups, and a lot of the stuff he has in his hand, as far as I can see from this kind of odd cost. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, when you're discarding cards from your hand, that's producing 2 CP. So anytime you've got to be playing for an odd cost without any backups, you're functionally having to overpay for the value of that card, which is devastating. This game is often won and lost over a couple of CP in the wrong direction. And so it'll be interesting to see what sort of failed Christian in the last game we saw on stream, where he wasn't able to get the right colored CP and wasn't able to sort of have efficient turns where he had lots of backups active. It's going to happen again, except in this case without. So yeah, that's a situation where because he didn't have that backup, he's had to overpay with. But it does mean he gets a card onto the field. And he's not been able to utilize that. Okay, so he's going to play the Hien. Hien is a really powerful blocker, and it will allow him to get rid of that spare Kalmanat in his hand by discarding it to use Hien's ability, which perhaps means Hien can't be chosen by things for that turn functionally. Functionally, it's a bit more complicated than that, but in regards to what the ability actually does, it's pretty much discard a card from your hand, and Hien can't be chosen for stuff. Or can't be affected. It's really interesting.
No, back to it.
Scholar and Devout. So as this goes explain, probably you guys couldn't hear, but Scholar can resurrect 3-cost ice forwards onto the field for I believe 1 ice and dull. There was a card in Opus 1 called Devout, which had very similar functionality. It was a 4-cost card instead of a 3-cost card, and it was just break to resurrect a 4-cost. And that's fallen out of play a bit now, and we see a lot more Scholar. Like, even though Scholar is you're still playing for it when you're using it, the ability to not always need to use it is become really relevant. I think as this game has gone on across different opuses and across different metas, this game's only getting faster in how it's played. I think Opus 5 Turbo Ice Discard really sped up the game as a whole, but it means cards and specifically backup destruction is seeing less play. So abilities, like pretty much what we're seeing on the ice side of the field, Scholar, or with getting those ice summons back, where you're permanently destroying your own backup to be able to do a powerful ability. See play less because just that backups are so useful. The main exception of this is Renpierre, of course. But Renpierre is ridiculous. Renpierre is a 2-cost card. Mean you can just easily just cut from your hand to play it. That when playing up to a 9-cost card. So obviously, destroying your own backups is still definitely relevant in this game. You just need to be getting enough for them.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So he's able to get that Garland onto the field, which means he's now got taxes. And fortunately, Christian doesn't have any way to pay his taxes. Pay your taxes, Christian. Can I get a pay your taxes in the chat? Tax the rich. But all right. So I think was that discarding of Kalmanat to use Hien's ability? I didn't quite catch that. I hope he didn't discard Kalmanat for CP. You can't do that. Christian, stop breaking the rules. I don't know if he used that for Hien's ability or or if he did it to get CP. He hasn't played, so okay, he may have just done that. All right, that's fine. No rule breaking this game, Christian. Got my eyes on you.
So during my turn, I could pay 1 ice to freeze damage reduction. Yeah, unless you want to discard for 1.
Oh, actually.
So it requires 10,000 euro, that requires 9,000 euro.
Did he not discard Kalmanat? I entirely lost what happened at Kalmanat. Is there another, like...
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's all right.
Okay, so Christian's able to get rid of that other dark card. It's interesting that Christian is playing this many dark cards on top of playing elements. Like, playing 3 elements is already quite volatile, but by also playing all these dark cards, it means that his deck has a really high ceiling of potential. The things that deck can pull off and the combos and synergies it can have are incredible and will guaranteedly win him game, but does he have the consistency to be able to get those strategies happening? So far, it's looking like no. But I'll definitely hope it out. Yeah, the main thing I guess we'll see here is that this control. All right, he's got a Renpierre in his hand now, but he doesn't have any big. Oh no, I think that's a 9-cost push. I can see he does have a card he can play Renpierre. Don't think he has any way to break Renpierre currently, but those will come soon. Question is, can he hold out for long enough to allow that to happen? So I think we're definitely going to see the Renpierre C play. Going to need these future resources.
Yeah.
Oh no, we didn't see Renpierre play. We're going to see the monster being played instead as some removal. Probably to deal with Garland or Cloud of Darkness. Interesting decision. I can it's definitely a valid. It's going to help him more in the immediate future. Like it's going to help him remove Garland or Cloud of Darkness. Both of which are terrifying in their own right. Lure, that would have been nice. Got enough damage points now to power up that monster. Getting rid of the Cloud of Darkness, that also means he's probably not going to be attacked from it this turn. very helpful. That's going to help him get a bit of momentum back. The question is, he doesn't have the backups for it. Ooh, that's a really interesting play from Steven. So by playing the Fusoya, for those who aren't familiar, Fusoya is obviously a light card. Its ability is dull itself as a backup, and then choose one forward, deal 7,000 damage. It also deals you 1 damage point. So back in previous opus, Fusoya like dominated the meta because it was a consistent removal. It was a removal that every turn you could be dealing something 7,000 and removing it. Or even just when you're attacking with a forward, you're threatening that you also have this 7,000 attack coming from one of your backups. It fell out of play and a bit popularity because 7,000 became a less relevant amount of damage to do. I think more 8,000, 9,000, and now even we're beginning to see some 10,000 cards seeing play. Became a little bit less relevant, but it saw a bit of resurgence with people playing it with decks that when you got a point of damage, specific abilities would trigger. So you would play for Sawyer, deal yourself a point of damage, deal 7,000 damage, and then Cecil would say, also I deal 5,000 damage, or Noctis would say, also I'm going to go attack something. And that was just, we saw the Sawyer see a bit of resurgence there. I don't know why it's in this ice deck other than just adding extra troll. But, bang. Okay, 2 forwards that are currently on serious turn are both tax cards. That could prove the end for Christian. That for story is he's not going to be able to play any cards this turn. If Christian can recover from this, it's going to be really difficult. So Christian here is going to be able to discard the cards, probably the Fusoya, because he's not going to be able to play it next turn either, from his hand to keep Hien powered up by his sort of defensive ability, which will allow him to at least block the 3-cost tax card. But yeah, as I can hear Christian commentating to himself, the control is brutal.
I mean, attacking, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
If I go
Yeah.
and
So Christian's currently at 5 points of damage. An EX would save him. Don't know what EX burst he's currently playing. Typically, Earth plays Atmos as an EX burst, a 6-cost EX burst. That has the ability to break a dull forward or deal an active forward 8,000 power. That could be super relevant if it sees play, but if you're at the point of the game where you're relying on a lucky EX burst to be able to swing the momentum, you're not in a great place.
suppose I will try and stay alive, I guess. See how
Okay, Christian's chosen not to attack this turn. He's going to have to end his turn and play guard both cards. Okay, no, he's chosen only to keep Iron alive, which means he can keep that buffer. Interesting that he chose to keep the Sawyer in his hand. Because obviously next turn he's only going to be drawing 2 cards and not going to play it. It may just be that like he didn't feel it was relevant, and that he was going to be using it anyway. But in that situation, I would have definitely discarded the Fusoya and kept the hurting in my hand. Yeah, and obviously we don't currently. He could have anything to dull. He could have things, Christian's obviously got some response to the removal, which means he might survive the turn. Okay, he's blocked fine. Yep. Oh, that's not. Bahamut Zero, very powerful card. One of the most powerful summons. So that will be game for Christian. He doesn't have the CP to play any forwards. Oh, he can play for the monster and then remove it. And then Ice doesn't have haste, so he's buying himself another turn. But since he doesn't have the backups or card hand, yeah. All right. So Christian is not in a good place right now. I think both the players are.
I'm not liking my chances here.
He doesn't draw a forward he can play. That will be game, unfortunately. Yeah, he's going to even show his opponent his hand. There's no reason to keep it a secret. Very good guts, Stevie, who may be the winner of our tournament by the sound of things.
Just breaking my back up
Um,
straight away. And I think I made the decision early to.
Christian's just currently discussing his strategy. But yeah, while Rampierre, I think like if we're talking pure matchups, right? If we're talking these types of decks being magic decks, Rampierre decks would traditionally be ice control deck. But just because the consistency might not be here necessarily in Christian's deck,
In this, that was a
able to get sort of things happening.
Yeah.
A bit of it was bad luck, but a bit of it was, you know,
Trying to decide what to do there was.
yeah, probably I would if I was Christian, I would look at this deck. I'd probably reduce the amount of dark cards.
It's a bit tricky, I guess, like the behind end. I've got the Camlin specifically for decks that are ability heavy, but something like Cloud of Darkness turns that off. And that makes
Yeah. So yeah, I think Christian himself is. Which like normally like Shine, Kalmanat, and a dark backup, it's a very powerful combination. But in this scenario, when you're running 3 different elements, do you have the spare room to be sort of discarding those? And I at least haven't yet seen a chaos. Like you could be using this scenario to get a chaos onto the field to be producing your rainbow CP. I was just not seeing that. I haven't seen that anywhere for Christian. It might be one of in a deck that just not filtered through.
I've actually got. I used to run Chaos, but it's kind of just got a blank backup.
So Christian's just currently discussing that he chose to cut Chaos on this deck, and yeah, I think both me and Steve are in agreement here. That was probably a bad decision.
No, because of the Emperor. That's all I really wanted that for.
Yeah, because Kalmanat Emperor Control is a powerful combo, but in 3 elements when you've also got powerful combos, I just don't understand using that much resources in your deck for dark cards that could just bog your hand.
It's really not it.
Yeah, didn't see Garland either make an appearance. Definitely, Rampierre is definitely a powerful strategy, but it just wasn't. This iteration of this deck, I don't think was working it out. Yeah, and he's also playing Gelder as well. There's a lot of dark cards in Christian's deck, and I think that overall the tournament is hopefully reflected that may not be the way to go.
It's nice, man.
All right. Before the stream winds down, do you have any other questions I want to shoot across about the games we saw tonight, trading card in general, how's life? Ask generic questions.
Oh yeah. So like it's forecast.
But I think that will probably be the last game we might see on stream tonight. We'll see how it goes. Thanks. If people don't stick around, thanks very much for joining us. I'll confirm with other TOs and things. But yeah, definitely got some good games today. Definitely. Thanks for joining in for a trial run of this stream. There's definitely a couple of different notes that
Is it true? Forecast.
But yeah.
Of course. Yeah, that's like that's 1 or 2 on Hey That's Out.
I'm kind of just listening to the two players talk, which is absolutely not interesting for you people.
Don't see it too much anymore.
Yeah. Christian being like, you don't have many ice players. I used to play ice. Not always, but I play.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But we play Pauper on a Monday, and that was to try and get people like more players in. I'll probably, I would say, for the next season, I'll just go back to standard constructed. Just so we can have.
We did that for a while to get people playing, and now it's becoming competitive again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you find Pauper to be good at your tournament? Or?
Yeah, we just played not Pauper. We just played fun decks.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Just kind of like.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Zach. If you got any notes for me, I'm happy to take them up. Very informal stream, but if there's any ways you feel that I could improve other than just not talking so quickly because I talk at like 5,000 miles per hour, then yeah, feel free to shoot them across, and I'll definitely consider those for next.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that dark?
I think things are.
Yeah.
I'd like to do going forward is I'd like to get a stream on here so we can sort of backwards and forwards a bit. I would like to have some ways to stick up specific cards on the stream itself. I'm not controlling the stream, that's being controlled over on the Queensland end, but I'd like certain ways to be able to be like, yes, this card, right? So you guys can get a zoomed in close look and sort of read the card yourself in regards to what's being played, because I'm not going to be able to have the ability to commentate every single card that comes onto the field.
Have you got most of? Do you mind if I have a look?
Guess, the other time, stay safe, peeps. Like world's rough out there. Stay at home. It's all fun and games to come out to Final Fantasy cards, especially when it's a small person event like this. But whenever you can, do be staying at home. I'm not going to pre-release tomorrow because I decided to stay at home and stay healthy. Flatten the curve, or if you've seen the meme, cat in the curve, make the curve a cat. Cool.
Do you play 3 vein?
Interesting. So this play 3 vein because the tax is so crucial to him.
Yeah, for sure. That's really nice. Yeah.
That's my only coronavirus alert button. I've been handling other people's cards. Wash your hands. Wash your hands, people.
Do you have a 12 searcher in there?
No, it's all. Sometimes searchers are a giveaway.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we got some there. Christian, and they can't hear me. Christian, spread the cards on the table so the rest of the stream can see. We like seeing cards too.
Yeah, it's nice, man. I think that Cloud of Darkness is that card is just so incredibly strong. It's underrated at the moment.
Yeah, discussing. Ooh, so 7 cost Sephiroth there. Didn't really play in any of our games, but always a card you need to watch out in ice. Right, just pass forward. That when it's at the field,
it's low power, and I mean,
so volatile.
Normally it would be like a
and you don't even need to include that many of them. Just having that ability to force discard.
You played it at the right time, I think. I think a lot of people play it the game.
I didn't have the early game. Usually I'll play one backup first turn, second turn I'll play the normal.
Okay, yeah.
All right, peeps.
They pay the same amount, right?
What are some things that you're all excited about? It could be Final Fantasy card, could be Opus 11 things, could be life things. Well, what's the stuff that the chat's excited about right now?
Well, definitely, yeah. I feel like you got me with that because I was, you had getting those backups early definitely put me in a difficult spot. I wasn't playing them at the same rate.
To be honest, I didn't join the backups.
Once.
I didn't join the backups as well.
All right.
True. Well, really, I should have been smarter about how I went about it.
Yeah, maybe Bill's just recommended that they can put the stream on the projector when it's not during rounds, so it may create a bit of a feedback loop as I can hear them. But just microphones hearing each other. But we might be able to figure it out. I think even if we don't have it, like Zach or someone else, if we had some more people who maybe have a buy that round, could be on the stream on that end and just commentating with me, even if they're not discussing the particulars of the game.
Play Lightning primarily.
Okay.
Lightning. It's just always so fun. Like I always enjoyed.
It's like kill anything 2 forwards of the field, right?
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, I used to love that. And so a lot of lightnings. And then I was trying to think back. Then I went to trying to do power reduction instead of damage dealing. And so I was trying to do
person's name in card sleeve, then they place it in their deck.
Category 9 with the forwards, and then you could
I don't need necessarily people's name in a card sleeve. I just need them to say it before they start playing.
Water Freya
You know,
designer.
these are just floating disembodied hands to me.
You can do that later.
It was
So maybe if do a little fist bump or something for the game and say names for the stream. I do have the challenge document open for me, so I can kind of make the explanation.
Yeah, didn't get much of it.
Yeah, no, don't need to say last names of stream. Don't even need to say like game attack. But yeah, just something. So use whatever name you'd want me to call you by, and then that's the name I'll use. If you want your name to be Floop, that's fine.
You can close that tab actually.
How much damage do you do?
Be whoever you want to be. Oh, I see. So Bill's saying to have names on the decks so that when if someone's joined the stream mid-game, they can see the name on the deck. That could be helpful. I think probably what would be easier in that scenario would just be some sort of challenge integration where we see the challenge logo thing currently on the stream. That'd be really good.
But you don't.
And that wouldn't be too hard to do on the Queensland end where they've got all the stream controls. But again, we need a dedicated stream person on that end.
It takes the amount of damage points as like one of the key things to position winners and stuff. I think it would be a pretty clear winner.
Thank you all, viewers.
Yeah, thanks for the game.
Thanks for the game.
Good job, Steve. Yeah, maybe. We can just add that in, like. Yeah, well, I mean that's where the damage zones go. But yeah, no, we do have a bit of ideally, Bill, this sort of on the right side of the stream with some white space. That would be where I'd really like to put up relevant cards that are being played. So there's kind of a card-shaped hole for that, but I don't have the control to do that right now. But hey, it's the first stream. We're trying stuff out. Loving the recommendations. Thanks very much for them.
Thank you, Kalen, for streaming.
Did you want to pick? Or just...
Let's do whatever.
Yeah, I'll dig down. Hopefully I'll bring you luck.
Yeah, I have this card.
All right, good job, everyone.
What do you have to do? 10?
11?
We'll just commentating saying, yeah, no, we're not all Alex. We don't all have that much break zone spread out. I mean, like, having a large break zone can be really helpful for quickly referencing both, if I'm going to need a card there, but it's also can be relevant to you spread out your cards out like that so you can keep rough notions of what your deck has left in it. So you can have a rough idea of like, okay, there's a lot of backups in this break zone. I'm less likely to be drawing a backup in this turn, or I'm less likely to be drawing a specific element. Oh, very wholesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, foil. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The challenge stream has been posted in chat, so if you're on Twitch, feel free to click on that if you want to see how the other games weren't going. I probably that's really all from me. Thanks very much for watching our first stream and coming along. If you like a nice trading card game, I'd recommend checking out your local store. If the Turn Coast is your local store, thanks for coming along and great to be a part of it again. I'm going to say that now, guys.
Yeah. Nothing gets posted to Facebook until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Until midnight. I did say that we're running it at midnight, so if you post up.
Do you get to see who's watching? Like, is it from like Australia?
I'm not sure. Ben will probably be able to check. It would have been way more popular with the commentary. I had a few friends jump on who play the game, like just a little bit, but they were like, I have no idea what's happening.
367 views by watching.
Difference is there.